Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does without me lifting a finger, so I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
There are people out there all across the country pushing boundaries to grow the game of golf. Like champion speed golfer Lauren Cupp, who plays faster than anyone else. And Will Lowry, whose work in the golf community inspires more kids to get into the game. As a champion partner of the Masters, Bank of America supports everyone determined to find out what's possible. In golf and in life. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Bank of America N.A. member FDIC. Copyright 2025. Bank of America Corporation. All rights reserved.
You're listening to Saucepans and Sidesteps.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Saucepans and Sidestep podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Wales Llanelli RFC legend, Rupert Moon. Thank you for joining me. How are you?
Well, I'm good. Let's maybe rephrase that. I'm a legend in my own lunchtime. Okay. The legendary status is for Derek Quinnell and Delmy Thomas, Rupert Henry, St. John Barker Moon. Okay.
Don't sell yourself short. You've inspired many, shall we say? So we live in a modern day where people don't really, well, especially the younger kids, they don't really tend to look back on who came before and who's really paved the way for them. And so, talk to us about you. Tell us, I know you've come through Abertillery, so just talk a bit about your rugby journey, who you really are to everyone.
Okay, so look, so I was born in Birmingham, brought up in Walsall, which was a Welsh enclave back in the late 60s, early 70s. And I was influenced by the people who played for their first team. And Walsall Rugby Club, which was where the M5 joins the M6, had lots of Welsh people. And we lived next to the college, which was next to the rugby club. And on the wall in their centenary, there's portraits of their internationals. And there's Paul Ringer, Terry Cobner, Colin Jarvis, and Rupert Moon. And so it's quite unique to have Welshmen playing for Walsall, but it was always about my heroes. And my heroes Walsall played in red, Scarlet, and I had people from, whether it was Gleis, Abertillery, Newport, Ysglyfera, and even my fly half, who was a guy by the name of Hamilton Jones, and he played for Llanelli against South Africa in 1970 and was unfortunate that he just missed the winning conversion that could have won us the game from the touchline in that game, but was one of my heroes when I was running the touch or marking the pitch or sorting the jerseys out with my dad. He talked about what it was like to play for Llanelli, and it was just a dream. When I was a kid growing up, I just wanted to play. I had no aspirations to play professionally because it didn't exist. I just wanted to play. And so listen to Arnie Evans from Llanfihangel, who was the fullback, and how it was so important to play and represent your village, your town, your city. It meant more than life itself to pull on the jersey, and you were always ever borrowing it. So that was my influences when I was a young person. My brother ended up going to Cardiff University. Then after that, they looked for another scrum half who was equally as good as my brother. My brother had left in mid-80s, and then they said there's him, because my sister was a good scrum half, but she couldn't play for Abertillery. And so I ended up leaving school at 16, going to the local college and travelling, commuting for the first 6 months in an upside-down pram, which was a Citroen 2CV, 2.5 hours to train, because Steve Lewis is the hooker for Abertillery's dad was the president, and they like the Moon clan. My brother is one of my heroes. He was a great player, inspirational to me for what he did, and I wanted to be a part of that. And I was content in Abertillery. It was an odd thing to be, an odd place for a name by the guy in the name of Rupert. But my journey then took me via Crawshay's, it was a tour I went on in one summer after 3 seasons in Abertillery, and loving the experience of playing with better players, a higher standard of players who'd achieved Welsh internationals and others. And there was a few individuals that had given me a bit of advice in my career, one being David Bishop and another being Ray Giles. And it was always about being the best you can be, push yourself to the highest level. You'll only know if you try. And I had a trial bizarrely in Neath, played for a season with them, but then an opportunity opened at the Scarlets with Leslie, because of Hamilton Jones, because of Gareth Jenkins, because of Phil Davis, the relationships that they all had. And Hamilton Jones was my first 10 as a 16-and-a-half-year-old. So I played for Walsall first team when I was 16 and a half. That's a long time ago. And his relationship, when Johnny Griff had gone north, and I'd had a decent couple of games for Neath against Leslie, they wanted me. And so it was beyond my wildest dreams to drive into Stradey Park, to walk into the dressing room that Delmy and Gravs and Benny had been in, to see Ian, Nigel Davis, Phil May, Lawrence Delaney, Anthony Buchanan, Simon Davis, all of these personalities and characters. And I was starstruck and kept my head down and just enjoyed the ride.
Yeah, so you've got on to your time with Llanelli there, and I would be remiss if I did not ask about the 92-93 season. Yeah. So there's a small matter of a win over, world champions Australia, 13-9. What can you remember about that experience?
Look, I was really, really lucky to walk into a squad with legends that I mentioned. Our history and our heritage is about people who have represented and borrowed the jersey since 1872, first game against Carmarthen Quins, and those experiences were passed on to us. It was kind of a gift to borrow the shirt, but with the shirt came a story and an honour to wear the number 9. And that season, my second season, I was made captain, which was beyond my wildest dreams. When some of the names I've mentioned, who played 300, 400, 500, 600 times wearing that famous Scarlet jersey, to represent in that year was so special, because it was the sweet spot of a few youngies, a few oldies, and a few in the middle, and inspired coach by the name of Gareth Jenkins and a backs coach by the name of Alan Lewis. And to me, it was one of the best times of my life, because socially we went out every game, home and away. We were a family. We seemed invincible because we all believed it, and we had some tough battles, and those local derbies, which they always seemed to be, whether in the league or the cup, were special because we celebrated and enjoyed, but also we took the pain and the glory, because it shaped me as a person. When I talk about Walsall and I talk about Abertillery, and then going to the Scarlets as in my early 20s, it was sitting after the game. Some had worked in the steelworks, some were miners, some were lorry drivers, some were working in an office. We had an eclectic mix, and all those life experiences and how to deal with them were dealt with after the game in the bar, patrons lounge upstairs. The walk of shame, as we say, or the walk of fame to get to your food, were where you found out your personality what it was, whether you were a hider or a driver.
So obviously you played for Llanelli, from 90 to I think 2002, something like that.
Yeah.
So you crossed the line. You went from amateur to professional, and you're obviously a massively talented squad. So again, people don't really, the younger generation don't know much about the turning of professionalism in the game. So what was that like in a club like Llanelli that was at the forefront at that time in the amateur era?
Look, it was a relationship. We always had this siege mentality. Stradey Park. We moved to Stradey Park in 1879, and that's when Rorke's Drift happened and Albert Einstein was born. Two significant events in the world. And but it showed when we moved to Stradey what a fortress it was. And we are the sum of the parts. And it wasn't just about the players. It was always ingrained in us as players that we were representing what you see behind me. I'm sitting in the club, the jerseys behind me. It was about borrowing it, but representing the people who stood on the Tanner Bank. And what's special about the new ground that we have is the Tanner Bank has been created by the people. They've done it off their own back. They've done it because they wanted a clubhouse and a place to come together. And it's a social environment, not only the bank on the touchline in that north stand, but also before and after kickoff in the east stand. Special times, which I've enjoyed with people, but also when we've had difficult times, we've come together to remember the good times, because there's lots of images, lots of shirts, lots of banners, lots of a nice scoreboard, which is special to me. That day we beat Australia. So it is about remembering the good times and having great times. But also, you have to go through some pain to get to the good stuff.
So if we come to what's happening in the near future now, this Saturday, we've got the newest rendition of the West Wales Derby.
Yeah.
So you've played in a fair few yourself. So what are some of your best memories from those games? Players, coaches, fans, in and around Stradey as well as St Helens.
Look, when it is when I talk about pain, the pain and the glory, the painful experiences is the physicality, because Gareth talked about the Battle of the Lycha. Gareth Jenkins always talked about that, and the city slickers across the water there. And it was when they're coming to us, it was we made it a fortress on and in the stands off the field to create that hostile environment, that Rorke's Drift kind of place, the siege mentality. And I've had painful experiences. Dickie Moriarty thought my face was worth punching on a few occasions. Broke my nose. Can you believe? I can't believe that they broke my nose. But also then there's the experience of Tyrone Morlin, and when he took me out when I was trying to get the ball away for early ball and get it away, he smashed me on the top of my head, squashed my head into my shoulders, and I've got a cyst on my spinal cord because of that. But the glorious times are the ones that we've had, yes, at home, at Stradey Park, and there's been quite a few, but also the ones to me that stand out is the Wayne Proctor try when he, in the semi-final against Swansea in the Arms Park, where he did the in and out on Mark Titley. There's the dropping a goal in a close times 12-10 we won. I dropped a goal from about 7 yards out. Unbelievably, I don't know why I did, but literally scooped it up and over. But the one that stands out for me is that Swansea game, cup final, 65,000 people there, and scoring a try off the back of a great scrum in our own half, wrestling the ball away, giving it to Wayne Proctor, who gave it back to me for me to score in the corner. And I thought that was decent memory to have. But then I don't know why I dropped a goal. I like to say it was from the halfway line, maybe the 10-meter line, but actually it was just on the 22, and it went over. But cherished memories are after, the excitement, the adrenaline of the game, and just seeing what that means to the supporters and the fantastic fanatical fans that just come and give what they can, heart and soul, but also pay good money to come and watch us entertain them. And special faces that day, because there's so many supporters that I've known since 1990, and they're still supporting to this day. And they've either got married, or they've got divorced, married again, had children grown up, and the legacy and the irrational reason why they keep coming, because of that emotion, that the highs that we can hopefully give them when they're on the field of play. But yeah, Gareth Jenkins was a massive influence in all that time, to make sure that the legacy continued from the days when we were founded, and the Onslow braces or the Handel Grevels and the stories of old will always continue to be passed. And that's what we try to do. And we will this Saturday have another special time when lots of former players come back together.
Yeah, you've actually led me on to another one. I saw over 50 former players are joining in the Heineken Lounge this coming Saturday. So, with that initiative, how does it feel now when, obviously the fans will remember, but the club obviously appreciating you guys more and more? Like, we had the Celtic League winners from 0304 come onto the pitch earlier with the Scarlets, and now we're doing more like this. So how does it feel to be part of these initiatives, bringing the former players back?
Look, my role is heritage director, and it's to protect and respect our past. I'm pushing an open door where the people who are our supporters, but also our investors, our senior directors who have that umbilical attachment to this club. For whatever reason it is, they have an emotional umbilical attachment to this club. So they want to do as much as they can do to help remember and respect our past. Our boxes have names, the corporate boxes, our lounges have names, but we're more than just that, because the group of players, the unsung heroes who don't have a memorable name like Rupert Henry St. John Barker Moon, are still big part of all our achievements in the past. So the names that you can reel off of the Derek Quinnells and the Budgies and the Gareth Jenkins, but then you've got the Simon Easterbys who are coming. You've got the Boobia brothers. You've got the Delmy Thomas coming. But then you'll have other names that aren't as familiar, but played a vital part. Martin Madden was a late entrant and a late developer. But what a character and what a personality, with his beaming smile and his ability, when I needed him most, just to put it in his belly and just he would carry everybody with him. And special times, and that's where we can remember, along with the likes of Hugh Williams-Jones and others, those occasions. And some people have minute detailed memories, the songs after the game, or in actual things that have happened, quite funny incidents that have happened during.
I'm really glad you brought up Martin Madden there. He is, most people might associate, we wanted to be a 9, 10. Martin Madden, for me as a kid, being of the same name and playing in the front row, he was one of the players that I really looked up to and strived to emulate, even if it didn't go that well. So obviously the same for you. And one of the boys who was on this podcast with me, Carwin, you were his hero growing up. He said the reason he wanted to play number 9, and he wanted funky boots. Because of you. So
it is funny, and you do have to pinch yourself, and that people talk about you when you're not there in a nice way, and that's the thing I find really humbling, and I'm very grateful for the fact that people followed and supported and encouraged and cajoled me when it was tough, but were there and continue to be there. And when I see people, when I walk to the ground, always having conversations with individuals about something that happened during that 12 years in their life, and how I was present either because of the game or the performance or the unusual coloured boots, which myself and Henry Paul were the first ever to wear in that era, coloured boots. And it was a challenge because obviously everybody saw them a bit more than the black, and they wanted to step and they wanted to boot, they wanted to stamp. But along with the helmet was quite unique, and it was great to see lots of kids wearing those helmets when you'd go and visit different clubs on the community work that we do, or did, or continue to do.
So there's quite a history down west of developing top-class scrum halves. Obviously you've come into the club, but we've got a good few over the last couple of decades now. So obviously Cowdo Gareth Davis is still going strong, and we've got young Archie Hughes here. So are you involved with these guys in any sort of way? On what advice would you pass on for anyone who wants to strive to be a Llanelli Scarlet 9?
Well, as a committee member, one of the 6 or 7 committee members of Tumble Rugby Club, I've been involved in the community game from when my son was 5. Jack Morgan Moon, born in the Rhondda, has been playing since he started playing for Nancaredig when they were a district team to help them get to league status when he was 5, and then moved to Tumble and has played ever since up until youth, and now he's in Bath University. But I don't know what it's like to be my son, but he wanted to wear the 9 jersey, and it was a battle, and it was tough, and it was hard, and he was very fortunate, grateful, privileged to play for the Scarlets under-18s 2 seasons ago when they won the championship. And his journey was checkered and challenged, but I understand how difficult it is, clearly, to represent the Scarlets at all, to even get an opportunity to pull on the jersey. So our community work with Paul Fisher and his team are the disciples of the memories, but also of the characters and personalities we want in our club. And their talent ID and doing that work is never ending. And we're very fortunate to have some really great people out in the community. And there's some secret spies out there that are identifying talent on a regular basis, feeding into the system. I run the touch occasionally for Tumble seconds and occasionally for the first. But there are late developers, there are kids that just need to play. And I was fortunate my pathway to the Scarlets came when I was 22. But for others, a bit like our Eddie Jameses and Max Pages, was through the academy system, which we're rightly very proud of, and shaped and developed by Gareth Jenkins and his team in the past. So, look, it's about representing the jersey, and that's what I mean. It's more than pulling it on and playing it. You've got to live it. And Gareth Davis is 250 plus, and he's closing in on my 272 games, but as a fantastic talent, representing the club, Wales and the British Lions, is something I'd be very proud to be overtaken by him because of what he's achieved. And young Archie is growing and developing, and I think it's just playing tough rugby. And so if you have aspirations, you can't give up, and you never give up, and those paths will open up if you stick at it and just keep going. And 300 and whatever 50,000 people that live in our region, we can all dream big, because I'm the impossible becoming possible, because I wasn't great at kicking, wasn't great at passing, but I talked a good game and still had 12 years.
That's a great motto to go by, fair play. So you've been in and around the club for over 30 years now. So if we come to the non-playing days, if we specifically talk about the West Wales derby, moving from Llanelli, Swansea to Scarlets and Ospreys.
Yeah.
So
it's always the battle of the Lycha. Whatever colour they wear, whether it's white, black, or black and white, we wear our colours with pride, and those battles to us has been, it's never changed. It's the Lycha Bridge. Gareth Jenkins would stop on the way back from when we play them, either in St Helens or in Cardiff in the cup finals, And I was lucky. I played against them 3 times in the cup finals and won 2, and we can erase the Ninian Part 1 because it didn't count. But special memories. But he always would stop the bus on the Lougher Bridge and remind us what it was all about, and never forget the importance of this occasion. And around the stadium, and with Dwayne Peel and other personalities and characters. And we're very fortunate to have a performance director in the name of Lee Jones, who very weirdly was my first ever captain at Abertillery. And I know exactly what he stands for, and I know what he believes in. And he believes in that fact to be proud of what we stand for, which is a unique set of circumstances, a small town in West Wales willing to take on the world at every stage. So this Saturday is no different. Those battles that when we played at Stradey Park, and these having watched these guys play at Parker Scarlet since 2008, it means as much to them. And Dwayne Peel has enjoyed those. He was my replacement and I was his. He was my roommate on various trips away. I introduced him to his now wife because she lived with my now wife many, many years ago. And I'm really proud of what he's achieved and the journey he's been on. And I just look forward to Saturday afternoon, the unique, over 10,000 people will be here on Saturday to celebrate an incredible occasion. And it's been tough for us because we're a young team and we've been punched on the nose a few times and we've had some difficult experiences. But through the failures, we're getting better. And we're enjoying the fact that our narrow defeats will soon turn to magnificent victories.
So you spoke a little bit earlier about the fans at Stradey. So you just mentioned, but they're over 10,000 for this game, and rightly so. Anything under 10,000 for a big derby like this just doesn't do it justice. So having been in the ground when it's been full for these derbies, how important is that crowd to these players?
Look, we built the stadium for the supporters, the curvature of the stand, making sure you can see those tries in the corner. The Tanner Bank on the far side was about the supporters coming together, whether it's Big M's in his miner's helmet, or all the singing choirs led by Dan Vaughan on the far side. It means everything, that intimacy. Some need to stand, some need to coach, some need to hold hands, some need to just be shoulder to shoulder. Going back to 1879 of Rorke's Drift beef started when we moved to Stradey Park. That's our history, and that's our legacy, and that's our future. The people and the voices make the difference and inspire you when you need it most. And we've needed it, whether it was when we played Australia or when we play the O's on Saturday. We need people to come together. And it is a bit like pyramid selling, because if you've never been before, it's contagious. You will get scarlet fever. You will be infected by the fact that we want this passion. We want you to release your emotions in a really positive way. Sing with us, shout for us, but celebrate the fact that it's going to be great. Win, lose or draw, we'll be winning because we got the best supporters.
So I think I'm coming to the end now. So do you think we could get a cheeky prediction for this Saturday?
Look, I'm always a believer, and we've faced some battles with young teams before, where when I played captain against South Africa, I know it gave us a hope, and it was a brave performance, and it was better than we could have ever achieved. It was when we played Australia, no one gave us a hope, but we did it. In those battles that we've had, whether it's a 3-point victory at home or a 1-point victory, doesn't matter. It's just a victory. And I think it'll be a narrow victory. I'm excited by the young talent. I'm excited by Max Page. I'm excited by Tom Rogers, Eddie James. These guys mixed with the likes of Gareth Davis to lead them can do it with the help of our support on Saturday. So I'm going 22-21.
Oh, that is a close one. It's not going to do the heart very good. But either way, a win is a win. And thank you so much for joining me. For everyone listening, please like, share, subscribe. We look forward to bringing you more content like this. Again, Rupert, thank you so much for speaking with me. And hopefully we'll get to do it again in the future.
Thanks, Martin. Thanks, everybody.
That was Saucepans and Sidesteps. Please rate, review and share on socials if you can, and join us again next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.